let's dive in. Let's talk some football. Let's talk some football and start getting into week 10. We got some interesting matchups here. So let's dive in right into the Browns and the Ravens. Okay. So Browns and Ravens here. We have a matchup of the AFC North. Baltimore -6. This has fluctuated between 6 and 6.5. I don't know if it's back up to 6.5 or not. Anyways, total set at a low 38.5. And then the Ravens -245 to win this one straight up. But that being said, we have some things to talk about in this one. This is going to be an interesting matchup because we have the Ravens, who are perceived to be one of the best teams in the AFC, if not the best team. All of a sudden, Scotty, people are saying Ravens are going to the Super Bowl in some circles and saying, "Oh man, this is
not happening."
And I'm just
clown show.
Clown show. I mean, Rec, you posted that Super Bowl logo, and everyone's speculating that it's all scripted for the Ravens to represent on the purple end of the logo because there's purple and red. Ravens, 49ers, but.
I think we talked about this in our preview, and it's all of a sudden been big news the last day or two on like Twitter and stuff with the logo matching the last couple years on like team colors. I knew about this in the preseason. I swear we talked about that on our show, but all of a sudden now it's blown up. Maybe people watched our stream and now are stealing from us.
I mean, we're big shots. Let's just
yeah. So. Rematch already. They already faced once, these two teams in Cleveland, and it was ugly, Chris. It was a 28-3 domination by the Ravens. Now,
because of Dwayne Thompson Robinson.
Yeah, Cowboy didn't play in that game. So what difference that would make, we'll see. Lamar Jackson didn't have to do a lot through the air, but was very efficient in the only 19 attempts, but almost 200 yards and a couple touchdowns. So, usually, look, in a situation like this, you have division rivals. You have a Baltimore team that everyone in the world thinks is all of a sudden God's gift of football. And you have a very low total at 38.5. I mean, if I'm betting any side in this, it's Cleveland. Now, it's not not in my picks of the week this week, but Cleveland's the side if you're going to take a side. Cleveland's been playing good ball. Now, obviously, this game by far was their worst of the season against the Ravens earlier on, but you look at their other matchups, their two losses, both by 4 points at Seattle and at Pittsburgh, in a game where if they don't give up defensive scores, they probably win that one, Breck. Now they haven't exactly, outside of their domination of Cincy, and they beat San Fran, so they've beaten a couple good teams as well. So they do it with defense. Now they haven't exactly faced a murderer's row of quarterbacks by any stretch of the imagination. I think, Joe Burrow wasn't himself obviously in week 1, and then you're facing Steelers, Titans, Ravens, Niners, Colts, Seahawks, Cardinals. So not exactly a murderer's row, but they have been in a very efficient and very effective defense. The Ravens are a really good regular season team, Chris. They're a really, really good regular season team, which will not matter. I don't care how many games the Ravens win in the regular season. I really don't. I legitimately will not feel they are a threat in the playoffs. I mean, hang a banner. Nick Wright hung a banner, I think earlier this week on his stream or his show, because I think Broussard was saying the Ravens are clearly the best team in the AFC, and he's like, let me hang a banner for that one time Lamar Jackson won a playoff game, because that's how many he's got in his career, Chris. One playoff win in his career thus far.
Hang it up.
Hang the banner. So this is one of the better matchups of the week. I think there's only like 4 games that have two teams that are at least 500 or above playing each other. So this is one of them. Obviously, you got a bottleneck in the AFC North with 7-2 Ravens, and then the other three all at 5-3 with Browns, Bengals, and Steelers. So, as Rec pointed out on Sunday, right now, every team, if the playoffs started today, every team in the AFC North would make it in the AFC. I don't think that'll be the case at the end of the year, but this is an important one for the Browns to kind of get some confidence against a team that absolutely dominated and had their way against you in Cleveland earlier this season.
Yeah, 28-3 was the score of that game. And like everything tells me. I know. So, all right, I'm looking at Baltimore. They're a very, very good regular season team, and they're playing some of the best football in the NFL. So get that. Their defense is playing well. But everything tells me to take an underdog on this side. Like, I had Cleveland -6, and like I was like, but Baltimore. This is kind of similar to what we saw last week with like the Seahawks, where you're like, Seahawks should cover this, but then the line's not moving, and it's like, why? And so it's like you just kind of start second guessing it, you know?
I'd take Cleveland +6. Taking Cleveland -6 is
+6
is dangerous.
+6. Sorry. Yeah. Cleveland +6. So it's like everything tells you to take the underdog in a division game between two great defenses with an over/under 40. Like that's the textbook when it comes to like taking a side on this game. I just can't do it because of the Ravens and what they can do. STG was like, yeah, they crushed my boys last week. And
I will say something with the Ravens that tends itself. Ravens play probably a different style offense than maybe any other team in the NFL with Lamar Jackson. And so especially against NFC teams, I know the Ravens have obviously looked great against first Detroit and then Seattle this past week. But these NFC teams that haven't really don't face them once every 4 or 5 years and like don't really know how to play against that style, like aren't really prepared for it. And so the Ravens look phenomenal in those games, but the AFC teams are going to match up way better against them, in my opinion.
Well, and also the Browns D-line is they built this team to stop mobile quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson, knowing he was going to be in the division for so long, right? They got fast guys on the edge, and they're able to do what they can to keep running QBs in check. Like, I mean, and then not to mention Myles Garrett. I think he's like best pass rush in win rate. He's second best in run stop win rate. He's practically impacting the game every single play in one way or another. And again, the Ravens have the most hype as the best team in the AFC. I just think that it's just like a couple factors here that are playing into it. But I think division games like these, especially in the AFC North, are always tight games. I lean Cleveland getting 6.
And not to mention, Ravens have to turn around and play Thursday against the Bengals. So
that's a big one.
I mean, that's obviously going to be a huge one. So I'm not saying they're looking ahead against a good Browns team, but the Bengals right now are 1A, 1B rivalry for the Ravens, along with the Steelers, maybe, and maybe the Browns are a little below that. So when you have a Thursday night game coming up right after that, like, could be a potential look ahead spot. I don't know.
Yeah. So this is an interesting game. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. F the Ravens says football. What's up, football wife? Welcome in. Good to have you back in. What's up, Diacola? MPJ is on fire. Currently, what's that score right now? 23-13. Sheesh. All right.
Just
the
best team in basketball.
Team in basketball. Milwaukee's win. Suck it, Chairman. First of all, Milwaukee's, before you start getting all hyped up about your boys, you need to work on that. Like, I don't know if you heard us earlier. Work on the defense, giving up that many points to a Detroit team. Just figure that out. You gotta work on that.
Chairman, I hope you can recover from this Pistons choke job.
I guess you could say they pissed the bed.
Yeah. But he didn't see the end of the game because as he puts in the chat here, you won't believe it, but his power went out.
Oh no! Again, another one.
Third Detroit, third world country.
It's always like, what happens out there in Detroit?
Unbelievable.
What's going on in Detroit?
So I think it's good. Like you appreciate power more. Like electricity is something to not be taken for granted, apparently, in Detroit.
Power went out. Come on, man. We got to get you out of there. We got to get you out of there, Chairman. We need to send like a search party and just somebody to just grab Chairman, kidnap him, and take him to civilization or something. I don't know.
Down south, we have good food. I mean, Memphis is basically Detroit, so you feel right at home here.
See, there you go. Join. You could just room up. You could room up with Rec there, Chairman. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. All right. Next,
go hang out with Elvis, right?
At least it was brief this time.
There, doesn't he?
Had to wait for the router to boot back up. Doesn't Memphis have Elvis and ribs?
Yep. Best barbecue in the world.
Ooh.
Stop it.
And even Chairman's like, that's okay. I'll deal with no power.
Of all the places you're pitching, I don't know.
Hey, Football Wave, 22 months.
Let's go.
Milwaukee's come to Milwaukee. We have power. Yeah, see, there's a lot of places with power out there. So, or can you just get solar, Chairman? Can you invest in solar? That's a thing, right? That exists.
Have you seen all the smoke coming from the factories? They don't get sun in Detroit.
Well, I was gonna say, how much sun do they get?
Yeah, maybe
for
not.
Solar, you need sun.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. True. All right. Let's see. Next up. Oh, the Broncos and the Bills. Here we go. Riley, matchup. Where are we at, Riley?
Monday. One team is good, one team is bad.
On to the next one. Anyways, thank you. Thank you for all the love, Football Wife, for the resub. 22 months. Denver at Buffalo. Scotty, we were almost, if we were scouting this game out as a possible road trip to go out and see this game, and then we realized, it's going to be happening
cold
in November. And we were like, maybe not. It's going to be not so great weather-wise. So we skipped it. But
yeah,
Broncos coming off a bye.
And the Broncos were playing, so I wasn't that interested in that.
Broncos coming off a bye here, and I don't know what to think about this. Buffalo is 7.5-point favorites, and the total is set at 46.5. Obviously, Buffalo is the better team, and we expect Buffalo to win. But if you're taking this from a betting perspective on taking a side, I'm kind of confused about this line a little bit. And I get the Broncos aren't good, but I don't know why the Bills should be getting 7.5 against the Broncos. This line screams like this is the Bills from last year, and I know the Bills haven't looked as good this year. I know that Josh Allen's a little banged up. I know that the Bills don't have the dogs on defense to make stops that they typically have made. They just have a bunch of injuries and a bunch of just rotating players back there. Denver coming off a bye week. Maybe they come out slow. But 7.5 seems a lot. Like, I guess if I'm going to be taking a betting side in this one, I would lean Broncos plus 7.5. But actually, the one I think I'd lean the most on is maybe Bills first half. Maybe if the Broncos come out slow, maybe just bet on the Bills to just come out strong in this one. Broncos start out slow, and you get that first half, and then you cover that, you're good to go. But Bills right now, this is crazy. Bills are even money in Vegas to not make the playoffs right now.
Wow.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I'd have to look at their schedule, but that's surprising to me. They got Broncos, Jets, Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys, Chargers, Patriots, Dolphins. It's a tough schedule. Maybe you get through the Broncos and get revenge against the Jets, but then you're at Philly, at KC, at Miami, at LA Chargers, which might be a home game.
Yeah.
Versus Dallas. It's pretty brutal.
Bills to make the playoffs, no, is plus 104. It's crazy. Crazy. Anyway, Scotty, your thoughts on this one? I think the Bills win this game. Do I think they win it by 7.5? I don't know, but I'm not touching that. I'm just leaving it alone.
It all depends on which Bills team we get.
Listen, when you look at what the Bills have done this year, for the most part, they've looked susceptible, but their offense is still playing well. It just hasn't been. There's been untimely turnovers. There's been obviously they need to get the run game, or just run the ball more. Like they rely way too much on Josh Allen and passing the ball, and don't do themselves any favors with some of the play calling they make. They're clearly a more talented team than Denver, and that's true. And to be fair, they've won a lot of regular season games for years. Last year they lost 3 games all season during the regular season. Chris, the one big thing, and for me is like, and I had to look it up. My memory is Denver. You know how we talked about it earlier in the season. Denver, when they go to Miami, they just seem to shit the bed.
Yeah.
Denver and Buffalo, not much better, Chris. Denver does not seem to play well in Buffalo. Their last 3 trips, they lost 20-3. 26-16 and 40-14 in their trips to Buffalo. So it's just, listen, I haven't seen the weather report for that, but if there's any sort of wind or elements, that's not going to be good for Russell Wilson in that offense at all. I think Denver might struggle to score. And I think Buffalo is going to be able to move the ball enough to certainly win this game. So I have this in a teaser. So I teased Buffalo down to 1.5. I think they'll win the game certainly. And I don't remember did I pair them with Vegas? I feel like I paired them with Vegas, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah,
I know who you should pair them with.
Are you going to say the Steelers?
Potentially.
No, well, the Steelers are 3.5, so you don't. It's not a smart. That's not the smartest of teasers, anyway. But in fact, I believe I'm betting against the Steelers this week. So, yeah. But this will be a big Monday night game before we get the Broncos on like Sunday night soon, Chris. Just like the Jets, we get to watch the Jets on Thursday night or Monday night, and they're going to be on Sunday night. The Thursday night game, Chris, I didn't put that as a preview, but can we talk about the Thursday night game tomorrow?
Oh, it's one of my best bets.
It might be historically the least important game in NFL history. Because
it's so bad.
Chris, when you look at it, it's 2 awful teams, but normally at least when you have 2 awful teams going at it, you're like, well, they're both jockeying for a better draft position. No. The Bears have both picks. They have Carolina's pick too, so it doesn't even matter who wins tomorrow for the Bears or the Panthers. It doesn't matter. It's the most meaningless football game perhaps ever, Chris. Well, in the NFL.
I don't even know what to say to that. Yeah, because you're absolutely right. There's nothing that really comes out of that game. Al Michaels should eat a vegetable tomorrow night.
That would be the highlight of his evening.
It could be. Honestly, that might be what gets people out of bed or just in general up to watch this game. By the way,
Justin Fields might not play.
Well,
but he might play.
The line,
it's like 51-49.
The line indicates
the press conference. The press conference is embarrassing.
Yeah, Matt Eberflus has budgeted press conferences all year long.
I don't know. I don't know what this line tells me. All I know is
Fields isn't playing tomorrow.
All I know is I have the under as a best bet in this one. Primetime
What's the under?
40. I got under 40 in this one, and it's dropped to 38.5 now.
That checks out.
So primetime unders this season, I don't know if it's 22-7 or 23-7. Either way, it's like over 75% of the time, primetime unders are hitting this year. And like, I think if you blindly bet just unders in general, I think that there's a pretty solid stat to say that unders have been hitting all season long this year. But primetime, it's pretty much cash money in the bank. Like, for this Carolina team, like as long as pick sixes don't happen, because Carolina tends to give up pick sixes. Bryce Young, you just can't predict when he's going to do it. But like these two quarterbacks in this one, I just don't feel like they want to lose another game like they did last week. Both of them by making mistakes in these games to lose, right? That's just how these games have been most recently for these teams. So they're going to try to take care of the ball, play it safe. It's going to result in a low score. I got under 40, and this thing is dropped to 38.5. So I still feel really, really good about it. But I mean, by the way, Sweat came over in that trade a little bit ago. He's been playing good on the defensive line. And he's kind of, getting things more.
He got paid.
Yeah, he's a little bit more excited. He's giving some life to that defense a little bit more. So they're going to be out there. Fields, even if he does play, hasn't played a competitive game in over a month. So what is he going to look like if he comes back? But if not, again, this is going to be a rough game. So I just think, what's weird too is like this, what makes these numbers, these unders work is the fact that people keep coming in on these numbers for these games, on these prime time unders, like right before the game. So you can get great deals on these lines because people are like, oh, it's like when you're at the casino and it's hit black on the roulette table like 6 times in a row and you bet red knowing it's going to shift. When really people are just anticipating something that's not coming or may not come. And that's what's happening. These lines are getting adjusted right before the games and people are betting the overs and the unders are hitting every single time. It's crazy. Anyway, so that's one of my best bets of the week. Carolina, Chicago, under 40 in another prime time under. Thoughts, Scotty?
I don't have a problem with that bet. I mean, you look at last week, I think Chicago lost the turnover battle 5-0, and Carolina, Bryce Young threw 2 touchdowns to the wrong team. So, if they probably want to conservative up this game, make sure they don't make any big mistakes, probably feeling the other team won't be that efficient in scoring if they just don't give them short fields or make big mistakes. So, and in that regard, we'll just long fields for both these offenses are going to be tough to put up, certainly touchdowns and at times maybe even field goals.
Cuban Benny, Bears can aim for a tie, so no one can sneak into top 2. I'll listen to Spees from Spees and the Benchmark tomorrow night.
Nice.
Yeah. He'll be live for that. Yep. I'll be covering NBA. Spees will be rocking and rolling over there with the game. We typically raid out to Spees on those nights. Let's see what else. One team will show up and the other is the Bills. says Riley. Hey, that could be true. Let's see. He hasn't played a competitive game since Ohio State, says keep close. I thought primetime was for good teams.
No, good teams
not these days.
Apparently large markets.
Not these days. Next Thursday will be Bengals Ravens.
Love the Ravens.
After that, birds.
All right, let's get to Lions and Chargers. Lions coming in to LA on this one. Detroit -3. So that means they're favored to win this game by 3. Total set at 48.5, and Detroit is -155 on the money line, which means if you bet $155, you win 100. Or $15 to win 10, or it scales up and down. But that's how that reads on that money line down below. Scotty, you want to start this one out on the Lions and the Chargers?
Yeah, I will start off by saying that one of my bets of the week, I think I have Chargers +3. I realize while this is in LA, it's not really a home advantage for the Chargers, and
Correct.
Detroit's been traveling quite well, their fans this year. So they're very well. This could be somewhat of a Detroit home game. I just think the Chargers are better than people give them credit for. I know they offensively really didn't look. I mean, they blew out the Jets on Monday night, but didn't look great, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Herbert struggled to get things going. But you look at the Chargers, like they're 4-4. There's only one game all year that they've either lost that they've lost by more than 3 points, Chris. So 7 of their 8 games they've either lost by 3 or they've lost by 3 or less or won. So a Detroit team that, listen, I like a lot of what Detroit's done. Obviously, they're gonna run away probably with the NFC North, and they've played some good football. But I just think these teams are more similar in nature and ability than people think. Now, the Chargers are more susceptible to lose a game like this in humiliating fashion with their coach. But I just think this is going to be I think it's going to be a tight, close game, and I'll take the points with the Chargers. In a game that, frankly, is more important for the Chargers than it is for the Lions. Lions, that NFC North, they got a 2-game cushion, and it's the Vikings who aren't going to have Kirk Cousins as the team trailing him. So they kind of have that division, dare I say. I know, Chairman, if you have power right now and you're watching, you're like, don't say it, but like they kind of have the division wrapped up. Whereas the Chargers, there's a big difference in the AFC from 5-4 or 4-5. So they've won 2 straight. They were celebrating a little too hard after beating the Jets the other night in the club in their locker room. The same way, like literally the Chargers and Raiders, I've never seen teams after a regular season
Smoking
against,
cigars.
they both beat the New York teams. All right. They're not beating exactly the cream of the crop, but anyway, they cheer, celebrate a little too hard for that one, especially the Raiders, but the Chargers too. But regardless, I don't know, Chris. I got a feeling that the Chargers are going to keep this one close, if not win. Like they're right in every game, minus the 2 touchdown loss to the juggernaut that is the Chiefs, Chris.
Yeah, Detroit is actually, so we're kind of going head to head, but we think we're kind of in the same range here, slightly. I was able to get this number early in the week at Detroit -1.5 when this first came out. So on Tuesday, I messaged you on our DMs. I was like, "Hey, Detroit is my pick at -1.5." Getting it in there, and it's weird. Like I kind of, as weird as it sounds, like the Chargers kind of look just out of sorts a little bit. I just don't get that vibe that they're just clicking on all cylinders at all. Like they just feel a little bit more broken as a 4-4 team than as a team that I feel is confidently going to be making moves to try to make it to the playoffs. And like they're fine. I get it. They're good. But the Lions, they feel like they're the class of the NFC. They're 6-2. One of the beat writers that I read this week mentioned that this is the healthiest that this Detroit team has been all season long, which if you're taking a look at Montgomery, who's been hurt, if he's saying that this week is the healthiest they've been all season, kind of leans towards Montgomery. We'll get to the fantasy focus here in a little bit, that he might be playing, and he's one of the better red zone running backs in the league. So if you get in the red zone, you're good to go with Montgomery. The D on Detroit side has been a lot better. They've made some strides. So, you like what you're seeing from that. You mentioned the home field advantage. I think Detroit's going to just pack that place. So you're not getting much there. And then the Chargers, they lost Williams, they lost Palmer. So, defenses focus everything on Keenan Allen. Teams are happy to leave open Quentin Johnson because he's bad at running routes. He's bad with his hands. They whiffed on that draft pick. Let's be real. Like, he has not been what they expected him to be.
Well,
Don't keep close that.
I think it's a little early to say they completely whiffed.
He's got a, but he's not where they need him to be, given he's like the number 2, right?
What?
Yeah, I mean, he was taken before Zay Flowers. That looks like not a great choice right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, will he be good maybe later? Maybe. I don't know. But you need somebody for Justin Herbert to throw to. And when you have Palmer and Williams out, I think that's a big blow to an offense. And, I mean, they still have Eckler, and I get that too. But, I mean, Detroit minus 1.5 here, I feel like is a good spot for them. Again, this line actually, yeah, it's at currently set to 3. So it's moved a full 1.5 since early on this week. And so I feel good about my 1.5 here. Do I think it could be close? Yes. Do I think the Lions are the better team here? Yes. So they're healthy. They're feeling like they're in a good spot. I'll take the Lions minus 1.5.
I hope the Lions win. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. So
I want the Chargers to win.
I don't think any of us want the Chargers to win anything. Just, from an AFC West perspective. UFC returned to Sportsnet with multi-year deal. Gibbs will also get his touches, says Chairman. Montgomery is playing. See? So, I mean, you're confirming everything that I've been reading this week on the health of Detroit. Milwaukee's asking.
And by this week you mean right before the stream?
I mean, earlier on, like the last couple days. Milwaukee's asked KC if Detroit is good. Poking the bear.
Well, KC also lost to Denver. KC can lose to. I'm not saying Detroit is good. I'm not saying they're not good, but like, don't play the game of like, oh, they beat a team, so they must be good.
It's the NFL
all the time in the NFL.
It's the NFL. Any given Sunday, man. So yeah, this will be an interesting one too. Super fascinated to see how this one turns out for the Lions. I think we actually have Jared Goff pretty high in our top 10 in our fantasy focus as well for quarterback ranking. So we'll get to that.
Where would you rank the Lions in the NFC right now, Chris? Like, not as like how they've played thus far, but like as Super Bowl potential. Where would you rank it?
So you have San Francisco on a 3-game losing streak, and they haven't looked good. I think maybe
So you think it? But if you were to put money down on one team to win the Super Bowl between the Niners and Lions, you'd take Lions?
The Niners just made those moves at the trade deadline, so like we haven't really seen that come to full fruition on the defensive side. So I'm like, they're going to get better if they should be getting better. I would still lean probably San Francisco because that overall they're just on paper stacked. But I mean, it's a 4-horse race in the NFC. That's it. You got Philly, Detroit, San Francisco, and Dallas in no particular order.
My problem is, and I'll probably get hate for this, and it's no offense, but like I probably would rank Detroit 4th there.
I mean,
I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. And it's close. I don't think there's huge separation between any of the 4, but I'd still probably rank them 4th.
Yeah, I would say. I mean,
I know people are going to freak out, especially with Dallas. They'll be like, "How can you put them above or Dallas above them?" And just him. Maybe I'm a homer in my Dallas cheering fandom partially, but
Can't confirm you are.
I just think their defense is better, and I think their offense is, I mean, pretty similar, if not better. I think they're pretty close offensively, Detroit and Dallas.
I would say Dallas has probably the worst coach of all those teams in just that aspect of,
That's fair.
So, yeah. It's tight, though. NFC, it's like top heavy with 4 teams, and the rest are just not good at all. But those 4 teams are probably closer than you would think. But I could see. Yeah, you're right. I think Detroit could be anywhere from 2 to 4 on that list potentially. So I mean, just depends. If I'm being honest, I'd rank them 4th too, but I also think they can beat any of those teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's fair. That's fair. All right, let's move on to Texans and Bengals. This is a weird one too. Do you want to go first on this one, Scott, or do you want me to jump in?
You go ahead.
I
know you got a bet on this one.
I do have a bet on this one, and I'm hoping
which I like too, Chris, at that number, but I didn't. I withheld. I abstained.
I got this, and it's still currently it's been going back and forth. You saw it at 7, Scotty, because right now in FanDuel it's 6.5, which is where I got it. But
yeah, it was 7 on DraftKings earlier today.
Yeah,
but I've seen it at 6.5 too.
Texans at the Bengals. The current line, depending on where you see it, 7. You might see 7. You might see 6.5 somewhere in different books. But the Cincinnati Bengals are favorites by 6.5 to 7. Overall total set at 48. And this is kind of a weird line. The fact that it hasn't moved a ton. But it's hard not to take as my best bet of the week. Bengals minus 6.5. You're getting just under a touchdown by a half point. And this is going to be a matchup of splits, big splits, road versus home for the Texans. I'll get into that here in a second. But Burrow is 9-1 or 9-1 to win MVP as of right now. He started October at 50-1. So that just shows you how he's kind of climbed that ladder fairly quickly over the course of a month. But he is playing the way they needed him to play since the beginning. He was just hurt. So finally getting into that motion. He looks healthy. CJ Stroud coming off his best rookie quarterback performance possibly ever. And he's so good under pressure. He gets rid of the ball. 3rd fastest in the league behind Burrow and Tua. Now going into Cincinnati to play a big AFC contender. So the splits for CJ on the home and the road are kind of crazy, right? So 2 weeks ago, they lost to the Panthers 13-15 on the road. 2 weeks before that, in Atlanta, who have a terrible secondary, who give up a ton of yards to like Levis and Dobbs, they lost 19-29 to the Falcons on the road. I mean, CJ averages 9.3 yards per attempt at home versus 6.9 on the road. That's a pretty decent split. Cincinnati D has been able to take away, some things on various aspects of the teams that they've played recently. They took away Stephon Diggs for the Bills pretty well. So I think their D, middle of the road, top 5 against the rush, still can hang on this team here. But I just think that you're getting a really, really good Cincinnati team playing CJ Stroud, who I just think doesn't play as well on the road. You're getting a number of this historic start and this historic last game for him. So I think that's helping put this number to where it's at. But Cincinnati's the better team. And if I'm getting him under a touchdown, I'm taking that Cincinnati minus 6.5. And that is my best bet of the week.
Now, to be clear, at 6.5, I agree with you. I like the Bengals at 6.5. It seems like they're getting their swagger back. But let me play devil's advocate a little bit. Cincy is still, you said they're a really great team. They're minus point differential in the season. I understand there was some injury stuff. There was, with Joe Burrow specifically and things of that nature, but he was still playing. He was playing. And they didn't start off well. They're minus 7 point differential in the season, which is, where Houston's plus 22. Cincy, we talked about it with Baltimore. Do they have a look ahead spot with the Thursday night against Baltimore coming up? Wanting revenge. for their loss earlier in the season against the Ravers.
What
is it? It's the Raverns or something?
Ravers. Yeah.
The Ratbirds.
The Ratbirds. Sure, Rack. Look ahead, and then the other caveat, like Jamar Chase isn't healthy. He's got a back thing. Pretty sore. I don't think he practiced today, or if he did, it was super limited. He
did not practice today.
And T. Higgins he's banged up too.
But I mean, T looked great on Sunday night. Jamar wasn't a big factor, and T took advantage of that, and they hit T often. It felt like, maybe I'm misremembering, but I remember a lot of big plays from T in that game. So those would be the caveats to maybe why you pump the brakes on Cincy. But usually Cincy starts off slow. They Chase probably won't play. We aren't worried. Okay. I mean, yeah, Houston's obviously not a great defense. So with or without Chase, Cincy should be able to move the ball and score against this Houston defense that's, not great on that side of the ball. Young, but not that efficient. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I think since he wins this game, I think they probably win it by a touchdown or more. Because what happened once they start getting their swagger, like since he's they're not a. Once they start winning, they're a very confident bunch. Let's just put it that way. I'll put it nicely. They grow confidence and they're very confident in themselves. And they play well when they're confident. It seems like the more confident they are, some might say arrogant, but hey, that's kind of the team they are, and it's worked for them. And, once they get that and they build that, they seem to kind of like run with it and play well for a while. So after a big win against the Bills, maybe they're, back to back against the Niners and Bills. They're getting that swagger back. They're getting that arrogance back that works for them. It may be annoying to other teams, but it works for them. And they play well with it. So, since he's, I heard today, like a dark horse, I think you might have listened to the same thing, Chris, for MVP of Joe Burrow. And I'm like, that's not an awful pick right now. I don't know where he's at in the MVP odds right now, but I feel like voters are going to give him the benefit of the doubt for the beginning of the year. And if they start turning on and streaming a bunch of wins together. Now, the Bengals schedule is fascinating to me down the stretch. Chris, they only have one game. Wait. Let me check that. Hold on. They have what is the Colts record? 4-5. Okay. They have one game remaining on their schedule against a team below 500 right now. And you're like, oh my gosh, that schedule must be a juggernaut. And I'm like, I don't know. They got the Steelers twice, the Browns. The Browns do seem to own the Bengals for whatever reason. The Vikings are one of those teams. Cleveland. Well, I think Joe Burrow's 1-5 against the Browns in his career, I believe. I think I saw that stat, but so it seems to be regardless of location. Texans, they do have the Ravens, of course, Jaguars, and Chiefs. So it sounds really bad, but then I'm like, is it that bad? Because are the Steelers a good team?
Yes.
The Vikings that good?
Yes.
There's some.
I think Steelers are inflated. Vikings don't have. I mean, they got Josh Dobbs, he's going to come back down to earth this week.
No, he's not.
I hope not. I have to start
No,
fantasy this week.
By the way, keep close. If H-Town pulls off, does Stroud enter MVP ballot? I mean, he's still way, way down there. He's 95-1 right now.
No, he's not. Is he really? Should I bet on him 95-1?
Plus
I'm
9.
gonna look at the odds right now.
Plus 9,500 on FanDuel.
That's wild.
CJ's down there.
Balling.
Yeah, he is balling.
Dude's. I would. Right now, the odds-on favorite for MVP, it's a three-way tie on DraftKings. Lamar, Jalen Hurts, and Patrick Mahomes. I would take, moving forward in career, I'd take CJ Stroud over Lamar Jackson in a second. In a heartbeat.
Not to win. Oh, for CJ, not to win, but get low votes. Yeah, sure. I mean, there's still a lot of people. I mean, he's got guys ahead of him.
100 to 1. He's 100 to 1 on DraftKings.
Yeah, he's behind Tyreek and Dak and Jared Goff and Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey. I mean, there's a lot of people ahead of him. So even to get votes, I think, I don't know if he'll be able to creep into that conversation. I mean, he's got to ball out the rest of the season, and I think again he's at an all-time high after this last game. And do I think he can keep staying at that level and elevating even higher? I don't know. If he can, then yeah, I think he puts his name in that conversation of maybe getting some votes at the end. But I don't think. I mean, that's a tall order to ask from a rookie quarterback to do something that crazy. But he's defied the odds so far, Scotty. I don't know. Anyways,
100 to 1 seems steep, but I don't think he'll win it. But 100 to 1 seems like
you're getting
$1 on it.
You're getting value. Why not?
$5 on it. See what happens. Did you see I had a celebrity guest for a second? Did you see that in my background? It's a big deal.
Celebrity guest, huh?
Yeah. She peeped in for a moment.
Tell her hi.
Did you get the look?
No, she just got home actually. So she was. I think she put her laptop in here to charge. That's the reason she came in.
Burrow had to play the GOAT on the Browns, though. Let's see. If you're on the Panthers, do you think they're more likely to go draft a quarterback next year, or the more they watch Stroud succeed?
They can't draft a quarterback.
They don't have.
I guess they theoretically could, but
I haven't
can't draft
sold
one
a
in the
single
first.
copy of my autobiography. That's the story of my life. Why do scuba divers fall backwards into the water? Because if they fell forwards, they'd still be in the boat. Made pancakes yesterday and the whole house smelled like lavender. Used the wrong flour. Tom Hiddleston and Taylor Swift's relationship is over after just 3 months because he wanted it to be more public. I guess she wanted it to be more low-key.
Loki. By the way, the Loki season finale coming up here this week. If you guys catch Loki.
It's not low-key. Sounds like Travis Kelce is apparently going to Argentina this week, Chris.
Oh, what's he doing in Argentina?
Going to a Taylor Swift concert.
Ooh, supporting the girly in a concert in Argentina. That's a hell of a trip.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's left yet. Maybe he has. I assume he probably. I don't know why he wouldn't have left because I know he has to return Sunday. I know he has to return Sunday because they have practice Monday. So, might as well leave now.
Yeah, I mean, is he going to be in the box and is he going to be cheering like she cheers for him and behind the glass? And
I don't know the venue. I don't know the venue, but I'd be surprised if they don't put him on a screen. If he's there, you got to put him on the screen.
No, you have to. I mean,
on the big screen.
He put her on the map. Why wouldn't he be on screen? Kelce put her on the map.
Yeah,
obviously.
Those people are probably more there to see Kelce than Taylor Swift.
Yep.
Argentinians love American football.
They do.
I just love it.
It's gonna be a spicy concert. Spicy. Kelce needs to go do crazy over the top reactions to every dress change.
Agreed. Player of the stream, Samaki Walker.
Samaki Walker, man, I haven't heard that name in forever. Samaki Walker. Love it, P3. Thank you for the biddies, as always. Thank you for the jokes and the random Laker player of the night. It's like a staple. Now I expect to get a Laker player every stream, and I love it. And I hate the Lakers, so it's fine.
That actually sounds inappropriate. I don't know what's going on there. But I don't think that's
P3
right there.
P3 is
speaking of excitement, did you see Jason Kelce's one of the
Jason Kelce?
Go get
Sexiest
it,
man
buddy.
I
on
didn't
the
expect that.
Yeah, neither did we. Yeah, Jason Kelsey, sexiest man alive. Possible.
Well, he's one of them. I believe
Possible.
they already. Well, I think they already announced it, Chris.
Who won? Not Jason Kelsey.
Oh, what's his name? He's an actor. He's like old. He's like 50, late 50s or something.
Patrick Dempsey?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh,
That's the
Patrick Dempsey. Is he from isn't he from that one medical show?
Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy, right? Is that who he is?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know Grey's
Keep
Anatomy?
close.
Clint Dempsey.
Keep close knows. Keep close has an idea of who should have won it.
Scotty Dixon?
Who's Scotty Dixon, Scotty?
I don't know, but that's that. I mean, never mind. I was gonna make a really bad joke. I'll leave that alone.
He said like P3 hasn't been making jokes the whole time.
Some guy. There you go. So
Do you guys think my last name's Dixon?
it's Nixon with an
I know what
N.
your last name is. Yeah.
Yeah.
N.
I'm like El Presidente.
Oh.
I'm presidential.
Oh, Presidente.
That was my Halo name, El Presidente.
Remember that time I was on one of those like big? It was maybe the March Madness stream, and someone was like, "Who's the sexy guy up for the?" Some random called me sexy at one point. I was like, "I'll take it, I guess." I mean,
That's right.
yeah, that was a long time ago. No, the good old days.
She's outside your window now, Chris. Just look out.
Oh, hey, there it is. All right.
Or he. We don't know, I guess, for
Actually,
sure.
you're not wrong.
He could be.
Like, I
he
could
might
be in a
getting
weird position.
catfished, too.
I could be catfished. I could be getting, yeah. I don't answer DMs that I don't know who they're from. So, I mean, they could have probably reached out. I don't know. But it was flattering. Vikings and Saints coming in here next.
This is a game.
This is a game, and I don't know where to go with this one. I actually do have some ideas of where I would lean. It's not one of. Is this one of my best bets? It's not. Did I make this one of my best bets? Because I had it at one point.
I don't think you.
I don't think I did. I did not. No, I did not. So I had this one as an idea for one of my best bets because we got the New Orleans Saints -2.5 over under set at 41.5. Lots of weird stuff happening in this game that I'm just like, I kind of just stayed off it just because I didn't know what to expect from it all. But I feel like this game could be, you got Josh Dobbs coming in on his second start here. And I just think now, I mean, he's got his, Josh Dobbs came in, they were like, hey, what can you run? What are your 5 favorite plays? And then we'll just like run those. Like there's no way he had enough time to get in on the offense. And I mean, he didn't even know most of the players' names on the team. And he just jumped in. And it was I mean, I love the story of Minnesota. I love it. It's fantastic. Like Dobbs coming in after being in Arizona, getting dragged to Arizona and having like, some success from a statistical standpoint individually. But I mean, yeah, it's just a weird scenario for the Minnesota Vikings and where they're at. And then on the other side, you have everyone who perceives the Saints as a lucky team last week. Like, like the Saints, Derek Carr, what are you getting from week to week? But like, I still can't get past the fact that like, now that there's tape, you can keep Dobbs in. And as long as you don't let him run, I think the good Saints defense has a chance to make sure that he can't get out of the pocket and make things happen, which Dobbs is very, very comfortable at doing, which is why he had some success last week. But I just think that the Vikings have a bad defense. I mean, they blitz so often because they can't cover in the secondary or anything else. They have to like try to get to the quarterback as quick as possible before something opens up for the other team. Taylor Heineke put up 28 points on this defense. Dobbs 1-9 and straight up as a starter. And I love Dobbs and I want him to be successful, but like, I mean, he's still like week 2 in getting to know everything. Is he smart as hell and he's like a rocket scientist literally? Yes, and he could probably get shit, under his belt pretty quick. So I get that too. But I mean, Taysom Hill on the other side has helped this offense as of late. Since week 3, Scotty, he's tied with Travis Kelce for fantasy football. I think it's like pretty close with being tied since week 3 with Travis Kelce from a fantasy points perspective, which is crazy.
Yeah, because he scores touchdowns. That's it. That's all he does.
So if I had a lean in this one, it would be a good Saints defense against Minnesota. So I would lean Saints -2.5, getting under a field goal, getting, I think, the better team, which isn't saying much because I don't love Derek Carr. He's been all over the place, but I would lean Saints -2.5.
I am so mad that these two teams are playing each other this week. Mostly because I want to fade New Orleans so badly.
Agreed.
New Orleans, first of all, to be clear, is not good. Not good.
No.
And at 5-4, whatever. Chris, they won last week against the Bears. In a game, they won the turnover margin 5-0. And they won by 7. Home.
Yeah.
Against Tyler Badgett and the Bears. By 7 at home when they won the turnover battle by 5.
You can't handle the truth.
Embarrassingly bad, actually. Listen, and that's why I want to bet against them so bad. But I agree. I don't know what you're going to get from Dobbs this week. Some people are like, well, now he'll actually know the offense, this and that. And I agree, but Dobbs just kind of part of me is maybe it's just better if he just goes out and plays football, backyard football. Doesn't really know what he's doing. Make plays. He's going to make some dumb plays, but he's going to make some big plays. We'll see. I think I did include this game in one of my teaser legs. I believe I have Minnesota. I teased Minnesota up to 8.5. Because I just, in some fashion, I have to bet against the Saints just on principle, regardless of who they're playing. But I had to tease it up. So I have Vikings up to 8.5, I believe. Should double check my picks.
Yeah, I got it here. So Minnesota plus 8.5. Yep.
Are they teased with? Who are they teased with?
Zona.
Okay, we'll get into that one later. Yikes. Yep. I don't even know how I feel about that one as we speak, but on principle, I have to bet against the Saints, who are probably vastly overrated by the general public because they don't know how bad the Saints were last week and got lucky with 5 turnovers to win that game in a game they were outplayed at home by the Bears.
Yeah,
and backup quarterback Bears.
It's just a strange. There's variables on both sides that just cause you to pause. And again, I've hit a couple New Orleans bets this year, but the most stressful bets are anybody in the NFC South and then the Pittsburgh Steelers. You want to sweat week to week? Bet on those teams every single week. If you like being a total degen and sweating out bets that you just don't feel you should be in the first place. But again,
you want to talk about degen? I saw before we got on, someone put $1 million bet on MAC football.
On what?
MAC conference.
Just to exist?
For what?
Kent State plus 10.5. For the record, Kent State is probably the worst team in college this year.
Have you seen UT Martin? They're not very good.
Hey, we're FCS.
So anyways, I didn't hear that. That's crazy. I mean, rich people like throwing around money. Look at Mattress Mac. Mattress Mac loves throwing around money, and he hits.
That one's kind of fake. He just insures that shit.
Well, he insures it, yeah. So he's smart about it. I guess, what is it? If he loses,
it's all for publicity.
If he loses, then yeah, it's If he wins,
Also,
he gives money back to everyone who bought furniture from him.
Plus, he's not exactly got a lot of years left. So if I lose some money, whatever.
I mean, he
Yeah,
hit
plenty.
that big one with the Houston Astros a while back, right? Chris might have a problem based on the bets he chooses to sweat week to week. I do keep close. You might be right, because there are some bets where I'm just like, I feel good about them, and then going into like Sunday morning, I'm just like, I look at them and I'm just like, what did I get myself into? it's a trip.
also, fun fact: Josh Jacobs is a top 10 fantasy quarterback this year.
Yeah, but he's 1-9 as a starter.
Yeah,
No,
it's just funny to think
No.
about. This
not
dude's
one. No, he's won
two games.
as a starter.
Oh, okay, 2.
Well, no, well, he
And
didn't start last week.
He's 2-7 as a starter, or 2-6, or one of those.
No,
Oh, I
didn't
guess
start
he
last
didn't.
week.
He didn't start, but he played the majority of the game. So I'm gonna give
Yeah,
it to him.
but it's so funny to see that Josh Jacobs is a top 10 fantasy option.
Yeah. It's wild. All right, let's get into the next one. This one's a fascinating one, and I think this is going to be a great game. 49ers at Jags. Spread right here is San Francisco -3. So that means they're favored to win this one by 3. Going down to the Swamps, playing the Jags. Over under set at 46.5. I think I've heard there's some wind happening, potentially some weird weather, windy, and some things happening, which might lean towards a little bit of the under. I didn't mess with that, but I do have a different best bet in this one. I'll get to that in a second. But Scotty, I'll let you start out. 49ers and Jags.
Yeah, I mean, should be an entertaining game. Two of the better teams in both their respective conferences. Jags, after starting off 1-2, have rolled off 5 straight. Not against the toughest of opponents. I think outside of a win against the Bills in London, not a lot of great teams on that slate, but they're winning nonetheless. 49ers, as you talked about, after being handed the Lombardi trophy after 5 weeks, have looked very different the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, they had a bye week last week, so they looked okay. But both
Niners
these
did
teams-
technically win
both-
last week.
both these teams are on a bye, I believe, or were on a bye last week. So they're both rested, both ready to go. I think the Niners are the better team. Obviously, they're favored by 3 here on the road. Long travel for them, but with the bye week, maybe that doesn't affect you as much. I think they just have so much talent across the board. I don't know that Jacksonville's as good as everyone thinks they are. I'm not there yet with Jacksonville. Again, they've beaten one. Let me look again. Well, like, their wins are Colts, Falcons, Bills, Colts, Saints, and Steelers. Like,
So that's 2 good teams they've beaten.
no, Steelers are not good. Quiet down. Quiet
No.
down. I mean, just a really bad schedule. Their losses to the Chiefs and Texans. I think people are overinflating the Jaguars right now. I think the Niners win this game. It could be close. But I think the Niners get a W. I'd lean San Francisco, frankly.
Yeah, and this is one of my best bets, and I feel like the spot is weird, and so my best bet is Jacksonville getting 3 here. Houston's worst game of the year was 17-37. Houston had against
Jacksonville.
Yeah,
Houston.
Jags'
Houston
worst
and
game was
Jacksonville,
against
yeah.
Houston.
So, and in that, it was like Houston had a kick return. They had some turnovers by Trevor Lawrence. So, like, there were some things that just didn't go their way in that really, really bad loss. But outside of that, Scotty, I said exactly what you just said, like 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, where I'm like, is this you remember this? I was like, is this Jacksonville team really as good as what people are saying? Like, I just don't believe it. But then they have we say it on the stream since they came back from London that this is a letdown spot for them. They're getting back from London, and they're settling back in. This is a letdown spot. Oh, back to back, they're traveling on the road again, and this is a letdown spot, and they keep winning games. And I'm just like, how do they keep winning games? I just don't understand. So I've really been like kind of perplexed on the fact that they're just constantly rattling off wins when they shouldn't be. And like, I look at the 49ers, they got bet, right? So they're coming off the bye week. They could be getting potentially a couple big time names coming back, i.e. Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel. So that worries me a little bit about this. And I just think that the 49ers, Shanahan, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he's different on the road as a favorite than at home as a favorite, typically against the spread. It's an early game on the East Coast. You mentioned a little, touched on that slightly. And so, I feel like that lends itself a little bit more towards Jacksonville in those early games. Maybe those 2 o'clock starts, at least Mountain Time 2 o'clock starts, I would probably swing this the other direction, maybe a little bit more, but it is an early game. The 49ers have lost 3 straight games. You put that on Purdy. Like, Purdy's been, in the last 3 games, not great. I mean, part of me is like, is he still, is the concussion thing still kind of lingering? Because he's been not great turning the ball over, and when they needed a game-winning drive, he's been just making mistakes. And it just doesn't seem like it looks like the book is out on him from what we've talked about, Scotty, what we have said in the past on it's only a matter of time. So there's just some different factors here that just make me lean towards the Jacksonville side, which is why I like +3 in a game that I think is going to be pretty close. So got Jacksonville +3.
Speaking of pretty close, keep close as if the Niners take an L here, are they done?
No.
Absolutely not. No. I mean, literally, there's only 4 good teams in the NFC.
Yeah. And again, the 49ers just made some trades at the deadline. They're getting healthier. Trent Williams is getting healthier. Debo's back and getting healthier. I mean, they have everything that you would need. I mean, as long as Brock Purdy's not making mistakes like he has been and turning over the ball and, making mistakes.
As long as he's not doing exactly what he's doing.
As long as he's not doing what he's been doing, then yeah. But I just think that teams are starting to figure him out.